Hello, everyone. My name is Julián Peña. I'm a partner at Allende Brea in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And I've been invited by the OECD to participate in the panel on competitive neutrality in the 2022 OECD Competition Open Day. I will focus my presentation today on the scenario that 2021 OECD competitive neutrality recommendations will face in Latin America. For that, I will share with you my presentation that is divided in two parts. One is the factors that will help the implementation, and the second part will be the challenges that the implementation will face in Latin America. As you know, in May of 2021, the OECD approved the recommendation on competitive neutrality, and it has two main pillars. One is to adopt and maintain neutral market rules to ensure that the legal framework is neutral and that competition is not unduly prevented, restricted, or distorted. And the second pillar is to avoid selective advantages and measures that may unduly enhance an enterprise's market performance and distort competition. Now, the OECD faces the challenge of implementing these recommendations, and the contribution of my presentation today will be to describe the scenario in which the Latin America will receive these recommendations. First, the factors that will help the implementation. One of them is the growing influence of this OECD in the region. That has been as a result, for instance, of the increase of the number of OECD members in the region. Mexico started in 1994, then Chile in 2010, and in the past 2 years, Colombia and Costa Rica have joined as well. Last month, the OECD sent invitations to Argentina, Brazil, and Peru to join as members of the OECD, so their negotiation process will start soon. Additionally, the OECD has launched in 2016 a Latin American and Caribbean regional program, and since 2002, the OECD has built a very strong interaction with competition agencies in the region. Basically, thanks to the Latin American Caribbean Competition Forum, organized jointly with the Inter-American Development Bank, that has held annual meetings, and that has also made very important in-depth peer reviews of the competition regimes throughout the region. More recently, in 2019, the OECD launched the Competition Regional Center for Latin America together with Indecopi in Lima, Peru. This center has also helped the OECD to connect permanently with the different agencies throughout the region. The second factor to be optimistic with regard to the implementation of the competitive neutrality principles is the fact that regardless of the changes of different governments throughout the region, there has been a growing consolidation of competition principles in the region. This has been true for the past 30 years now. And if you compare the situation in 1990 vis-a-vis the situation nowadays, it is an incredible growth of the consolidation of competition principles in the region. It is true, however, since Latin America is a very broad region, that the consolidation process has not been similar throughout the region, nor has it been free of setbacks or flexibilizations. On the other side, we have the challenges that the implementation of the recommendation face in Latin America. One of them is the changing paradigm of state intervention in the market. As I said before, Latin America is a very broad concept that covers many different realities. However, we can find some strong points in common among the different countries, basically culturally, historically, and also on a common paradigm of state intervention in the markets, especially in the from 1930s to 1980s. We can find throughout the region a common interventionist paradigm, a very strong interventionist paradigm throughout the region that faced a drastic pendulum shift in the 1990s due to the so-called Washington consensus policies, which were a set of pro-market principles that were recommended by the Washington-based financial institutions to different Latin American countries that were highly indebted in order to obtain financial relief. Then these policies were adopted in different manners, in different levels throughout the region. But a turning point on the acceptance of these policies has been the Argentine crisis of 2001. After that, there has been in the region a situation that was not common before. For the first time, there was no common paradigm of state intervention in the market in many years, and different countries have adopted different paradigms that cover the whole pendulum spectrum, but that even some countries have changed their position in significant manners throughout this 20-year period, and it is yet to see what will be the situation in the upcoming years. We can see in the past 5 years alone a drastic change in many countries on basically this because of the discontent of the people that have shown that have been resulted in 12 of the last 13 presidential elections. The opposition candidate won the election. This deeply divided population has also been reflected in a recent survey held by Centro Competencia in Chile, and as I said, the different electoral results that have divided the different societies in almost a 50-50 situation. Another important development in that that has influenced the paradigm of state intervention in the market in the region has been the growing influence of China, especially since 2001. That since he has become since then the biggest lender, investor, and trader of most Latin American countries. And as you know, China has been known for being a strong supporter of state capitalism. There are also some structural issues that will challenge the implementation of the competitive neutrality principles. One is the culture of strong cooperativism that has been held from colonial times at all levels of the economy. Second, the relevance of the informal economy and in the region that has grown a lot especially after the COVID pandemic, and that by definition is that it has no government control. A third structural issue is the existence of vested interests. Basically, for example, the way the political system is financed influences on the way the campaign contributors are benefited or not after the the candidates win the election. And last, the endemic corruption that is present throughout the region. Recently, Transparency International has issued its annual report, and has, with very few exceptions, most of Latin American countries are with high levels of corruption. The third challenge is the current pandemic of COVID-19 and its effects. COVID-19 has hit Latin America very hard, and as a consequence, it has increased the level of poverty. It has required a greater state intervention in the economy. It has justified a flexibilization of certain rules and principles, including competition, and it has also increased the level of social unrest that was already pre-existent, as it has been reflected in the presidential elections throughout the region before the pandemic started. As a conclusion, we can say that the growing influence of the OECD in the region, as well as the growing consolidation of competition principles in the past 30 years, are good reasons to be optimistic about the implementation of the competitive neutrality principles in Latin America. However, these principles will face certain challenges in Latin America that go from the very essence of what should be the role of the state in the markets, to other structural issues such as strong corporativism, a significant informal economy, and endemic corruption, and vested interests linked directly to the financing of the political system. All this enhanced by the effects of the COVID-19 pandemics. Although implementing the principles in Latin America will not be an easy task, the track record of the region in the past decades shows a significant openness to changes, and that is why I'm optimistic that even though it will face some challenges, the principles will be implemented in Latin America. Thank you very much.